Good morning. This is Ron Quintero on call with Paul Augustine, REMAX, Central Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Paul, how you doing this morning?
Doing well.
So, Paul, do I have your express permission to go ahead and record this call and use it for training purposes going forward with no financial incentives or monies owed to you on any behalf?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. And then just doing my legalese, crossing my T's and dotting my I's.
Yeah,
so here we go, Paul. First of all, you've done a lot of homework here. And what I have on the screen right now, if you're not viewing the screen, you may want to, is the 2 different emails researching 10 different attorneys that you put together. So what I'm going to do right now as we begin this process, I'm going to just kind of do a quick review of what you and I discussed prior to jumping over here. First of all, we're telemarketing for Hope Matters Radio with James Hope. The station is 990 WNTP, part of the Salem Broadcast Network. And the show airs Sundays at 11 a.m. And I've got that right. So, Paul, let's go ahead and get your contact information. Paul Augustini with REMAX. Is it what REMAX name?
It's REMAX Center, C-E-N-T-R-E.
Okay, REMAX Center. And you are in Central Bucks County. Your most direct phone number is 215-565-5335. What you may want to do, Paul, while I'm doing this,
sure,
is you may want to prepare a standard kind of draft of your on your email, because when we make the appointment, you're going to be sending them an email thanking them for the call, looking forward to meeting with them, confirming their physical address and where the meeting's going to take place.
Okay.
Paul at Augustine Realty Group.com is the address, and Augustine Realty Group is your web address?
That is correct, yep.
So if they want to, some of them might be, real nerdy about wanting to do some research on you ahead of time.
Sure.
So I'm going to give them that URL, okay? And you're calling on behalf of an expert contributor to the James Hope Show with Gateway Funding. James is in Portsmouth meeting.
Plymouth meeting.
Plymouth meeting, thank you.
Yep.
Community, okay. Plymouth meeting. And his best phone number is his cell, 215-778-5744. And it's J. Hope at gatewayfunding.com. By the way, you may want to make sure that you may want to make sure that you reference in your email all your contact information, all of James's contact information.
Sure.
You may also embed a link to his website for his radio show.
Mm-hmm.
So they can click there and maybe listen to some previous shows and so forth. So let me just go through my checklist here. Check, check, check. James Hope, Plymouth meeting, email address. I've got the News Talk Leader, Part of the Salem Broadcast Network. Learn how to spell News Talk. Okay, so we got Salem News Talk, everything there. We are currently calling because we are targeting and booking shows for the last week of February, first 2 weeks of March, shows focused around debt resolution, which could include bankruptcy, and I asked you before we started this recording for some specific gaps of time for your calendar next week to be able to schedule appointments. And just to reiterate, make sure we got this right, Mondays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I can book times for you. Tuesday from 1 to 3 p. Wednesday from 8 to 11 a.m. And Thursdays from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Did I get that right?
That's correct, yep.
All right. Give me 1 second here. Bang, bang. Okay, let's go ahead and save this real quick. File, save as. One more attorneys, save. All right. So, before I start patching people on, when I start to dial, Paul, I need for you to make sure that you mute your phone so there's no background noise, and I don't want anybody to like, hey, what's that in the background? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, yep.
Yep, good. And then, so I've got all this ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the first 5 files. Why did you research, why did you make a decision to research these attorneys? What got them to jump off the radar in terms of, you said, I need to dedicate some time, energy, effort, and resources to researching this attorney? What made you want to research this attorney?
When I had gone into the PACER system and researched bankruptcy filings for particular months, I had what had come about was that there were certain attorneys who had multiple filings month after month, and so what I began to do is sort of categorically from the lowest number of multiple filings up to the highest number, I began keeping tabs on who really were the attorneys filing quite a good volume of bankruptcies each month. And so once we had once we had sort of gathered that information, we knew who we then needed to go ahead and begin doing some research on to see where they were marketing, what their what other fields of expertise they had, if any, and that was sort of the protocol, the procedure we followed on that.
Okay, great. So you went through and you basically compiled 40 pages of documentation on this one attorney, researching all of the items associated with the checklist that Glenn Henderson and myself put together for the attorney folder materials. And so let's go ahead and by the way, a little disclaimer before I start dialing here. I'm not 100%. I'm never going to be 100%. If I'm 30 or 40% effective, I feel really good about that. Typically, when I make phone calls, I'm usually around 50 to 60% effective. Here's a couple of factors that we did not research ahead of time. That for the purpose of training other real estate professionals that are going to go down the same highway, that they need to be aware of. One, you always need to call your local courthouse where the bankruptcy procedures are taking place, and you need to ask the question: what days of the week are your debtors' hearings? Now, in a large county like Los Angeles, debtor hearings are Monday through Fridays, every day of the week. So that information doesn't really help in a large metro like Los Angeles, or New York or something like that. Now, in other communities, like when I did these calls for San Diego County, debtor hearings are 2 days on the week. They're on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, if you really want to try to have more success in contacting those attorneys, you do not want to call on the days the attorneys need to be in the courtroom for the debtors' hearings representing their clients for any of the debtors that decide to show up and contest the bankruptcy filing and contest that their debt is not to be a part of the bankruptcy and that they have permission to go ahead and not be inclusive of the bankruptcy so they can still pursue the collection of that debt. So, and by the way, that's just one of many reasons for the debtor's hearing. There's several others behind the scenes, several other reasons that they need to go there, but that's the primary reason for the debtor's hearing. So again, in your marketplace, what you may want to do is do a little bit of research and find out what day of the week are the debtor hearings, and that way you do not conflict with trying to call attorneys that are, it's mandatory for the most part, if they have recent filings, that they have to be at those debtor hearings. So that said, let's just go ahead. We're calling blind here. We don't know what debtors hearings are for your city, your community, but that's okay. Let's rock and roll. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a call to this. And by the way, if I end up getting disconnected, I will call back in, okay?
Okay.
All right, go to mute.
Philadelphia Scarafone, this is Kathy speaking.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. My name's Ron Quintero. I am the show producer for 990 Radio WNTP, and we are currently calling bankruptcy-specific attorneys, trying to book guests for our upcoming shows late February and early March. And I was wondering if, we looked at the PACER system and we saw that this law firm represents clients in bankruptcy-related cases. Am I accurate?
That's correct. One of them does. And your name is Ron, I'm sorry?
Ron Quintero, Quintero.
Okay.
I'm the show producer for Hope Matters radio show. It's a Sunday morning show on 990 WNTP, the news talk leader there in Philadelphia. And I'm calling on behalf of James Hope, the radio show host, and Paul Augustine, the expert contributor, real estate contributor. And again, we're trying to book a couple of bankruptcy attorneys that would like to be able to come on as guests, to be able to raise their firm's profile and awareness and be able to provide some information regarding debt resolution and so forth, and which could result in your firm being able to obtain some additional clients as well as become a preferred go-to professional resource for other real estate and mortgage professionals in the community. There's no fee associated with this. We're looking for guest expert contributors.
Okay, hang on one second.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Quintero?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is not interested, but thank you very much.
I thank you very much. Paul, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, and I see that as a bonus, by the way, when they just cut to the chase, say not interested.
Yeah.
One of the things that you may want to do here is let's structure an email, introducing yourself, send me a copy of it, and then I'll fine-tune it and tweak it, just simply stating, I want to thank you very much for taking the phone call. We called on this date at this time. We're pre-interviewing guests, expert contributors to be a part of our radio show.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to make sure you fully understood the nature of our call.
Okay.
We are booking expert contributors this day, this time. We record during the week, whatever date and time that James records the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For rebroadcast during the weekends, because one of the objections might be, I don't want to have to, go in to a radio station on the weekend. I have a family.
Right.
So if we could point out, that we're recording during this date, this time, and so forth, that generally they're going to be a little bit more receptive. So we'll, make a second approach with this law firm.
Okay.
Because maybe after they think about it for a second, they see and they go, oh, okay, now I get it.
Right.
So we're not just going to give up.
Okay.
We will attempt to approach this person one more time to make that happen. The other thing that I didn't do, and that's just rust, is I didn't start with my opening, which I'm going to do on this next call. The opening is going to be along the lines of, my name is Ron Quintero, the show producer for 990 WTMP here in Philadelphia. We're looking for a legal professional to be able to come on as a guest, to be able to provide some insights regarding current bankruptcy trends. Do you think this is something that your law firm would be interested in, or should we just go ahead and call one of your competitors?
That's great. I love it.
You know, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to get ready to dial the next one. So give me a minute. Settle in.
I'm going to mute myself and work a while on drafting that email.
All right, man.
All right.
Morning, Sadic Law.
Good morning. My name is Ron Quintero. I'm calling on behalf of 990 WNTP Radio. Can I tell you the purpose of my call? And if I'm not calling the right place, we can end this immediately or we can continue it.
This is a law firm?
Yes, I'm calling the law firm.
Okay.
We have a radio show on Sundays, Hope Matters Radio, here in Philadelphia. And near the end of February, beginning of March, we are dedicating our shows towards debt resolution, which includes bankruptcy. And we're currently pre-interviewing a few attorneys to see if there's a couple of attorneys that like to be able to come on as a guest expert contributor for our show content to be able to raise the profile of their law firm and so forth. Do you have all the...
Can you hold for one moment?
Well, thank you so much.
Hello, Brad Sadic.
Mr. Sadic, my name is Ron Quintero. I'm the show producer for WNTP 990 Radio, the news talk leader here in Philadelphia. How are you?
I'm good. Don't tell me you want me to buy a spot.
Absolutely not. I want you to keep your wallet in your pocket.
Okay.
The reason that I'm calling you is I'm calling on behalf of Hope Matters Radio. We do a Sunday show, 11 a.m., and we also broadcast a couple times during the week. We are scheduling our shows for the end of February and beginning of March with Paul Augustine with Remax Properties. He's a short sale expert, and James Hope. And we're hoping to be able to book a couple of...
Wait. Robin? 1 second. Who is it? Just tell him to hold on. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Anyways, we're hoping to book a couple of attorneys to be able to come on. We record our shows during the week, rebroadcast during the weekend, but we'd like to be able to, we're going to find a couple of legal experts that would like to be able to raise their firm's profile and to get that media exposure by being able to contribute some insights regarding current bankruptcy trends. And we recognize your firm as a firm that specializes in bankruptcy assistance.
Yeah, I actually think it sounds pretty neat.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to be able to do is schedule a time for next week to be able to have Paul Augustine, the expert contributor, stop by your office, no more than 20 or 30 minutes, have a brief discussion about the level of involvement, some of the ideas regarding, what would be discussed. And if it's something that you say, yeah, I'd like to be able to find out more, let's take this to the next step.
Absolutely.
James, okay, great. Well, what's good for you next week, earlier in the week or later in the week?
Oh, I feel up so quick. How about later in the week? How about like Friday around 10 o'clock? Is that too late on the 25th?
I think we could do Friday at 10 a.m. That would work, actually.
Oh, right.
And free that morning until around noon.
Augustine radio show. And who do I call? Do I call?
Well, if you'd like, we'd like to be able to just be responsible. We could send you an email with all the contact information.
That would be great.
And what is your best email address?
Sure, Brad, B-R-A-D, at sadiclaw, SADEKLAW.com.
And what I'll do, just out of respect for your time, we'll go ahead and cut this call short, and then I'll have Paul send you an email directly.
No problem.
With all the contact information, and he'll come to your office. And
that's great.
You won't have to dedicate a lot of time to going to and from anywhere.
All right, that sounds really nice, and I will see him. Friday the 25th at 10 o'clock.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Paul, are you there?
I'm here. Yep.
I just decided to lock it down. I hope I don't screw up your schedule.
No, that's okay. I had that. I did have the morning, the 10 to noon slot booked or reserved, so that works out.
Great. Very nice, very cordial man. He immediately like, yeah, I get it. And I like that he says, right up front, you're not asking me to buy any ad spots, are you?
Right.
You can keep your wallet in your pocket. Yeah, at that point, I just totally neutralized him and got him to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, when you go in there, and we'll coach you up, getting you ready for that appointment next week, questions to ask going into the appointment. Your goal is to basically, if they bring up money, you're there to say something like, if you decide that you'd like to be able to have a regular ongoing role as part of the James Hope Radio Show, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We don't even know if you're the right match. But, when you use it the way, we don't even know if you're, the essence matches there, the banter back and forth, the quality of the conversation. We may be a mismatch. We don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But what I'm here to talk to you about is possibly becoming your largest client. I'd like to be able to talk about the possibility of retaining your law firm several times throughout the year. Unlike most of your clients that retain you one time for one service, and when that's done, that's the end of the road. I'm talking about being able to retain your firm several times per month.
Right.
This is about me paying you. And at that point, and by the way, I've gone on these meetings, and I'm just telling you right now, when you just totally neutralize them with that, and when they get to meet you, and and James with his big personality, they're just going to go like, I want to hang out with these guys. What do I got to do to be a part of this party? So right now we're batting 50%. One said no, didn't want to give us time of day. The other one, yeah, I get it. Let's meet. Let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and call another one. By the way, before I do that, I want you to realize, and let's talk about when you start to do this on your own, that, man, I hate some of these names I can't pronounce well. Schroeder I can pronounce, so I'm going to open up that one. Young guy, like that right there. Okay, good. No, maybe not so young. Bankruptcy experience for 25 years. Wow. And for you guys, how old are you, Paul?
I'm 33.
And James is?
He's about 35, 36. We're about the same age.
Yeah. So typically, when I'm about to call a guy that's 45 to 50, it's not the right essence match because you guys are not in the same, zip code in the way of, where you're at with just buying homes and just making babies and just starting families. This guy's probably becoming an empty nester. You've had a whole different phase in life.
Right.
So maybe it may not be the right fit, but, we don't discriminate. Whereas, we don't care if they're black, white, yellow. We don't care if they're Jewish, Catholic, Christian. We don't care if they're, young, middle-aged, or old. We give everybody the same crack, same crack at the opportunity. And we're going to go ahead and call this guy and give it a go. And when you call Paul, it's actually a lot easier because I'm calling as a third party, and it's a lot easier to be rude to me and to shut me down than it is a local professional, because when you call, you're going to say, hi, my name is Paul Augustine. I'm a local short sale expert. I'm constantly coming into contact and working with households that are about to lose their property to foreclosure, and I've had the opportunity to work with many families that through the process have had to use bankruptcy as a resource to be able to save their home. So this, when you're able to say something that strong, at that point they're going, I better not be a jerk to this person because they're talking to a lot of my future clients. Get it?
Exactly, yeah. Totally makes sense.
So, what I'm doing right now is a hell of a lot more difficult to be able to get a win than when you call directly. And Paul, we never bullshit anybody. We don't lie. But let's say, let me just ask you this question. In the past 3 months, how many homeowners have you talked to that were considering selling, but maybe they owed more on the property than what it's worth, or maybe they were falling behind in their payments, or there was some distress? More than 3 or 5 families? Is there a number?
About 5 would be a good estimate of that. That's about an average on a quarterly basis. I'd say 4 to 5 families easily.
And see, just say that, because that has tremendous value to those law firms. When you're saying, in the last quarter alone, I talked to 4 or 5 families that were confronted with possibly losing their property, behind in their payments, loss of job. And sometimes when I'm advising these people, the answer is that they don't need my advice. They need a legal professional's advice. So I'm developing my sphere of influence of people that I can have as my go-to professionals that I network with. Now, coming from your mouth, that has a lot more credibility than this perception of, okay, who's this telemarketer calling me?
Mm-hmm.
You get it?
I do. It makes sense. Yep.
So you'll have a lot more success with this. But, I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm going to continue to go to, the basics. And I'll just give you a little bit of what your rap might sound like. Hi, my name is Paul Augustine. I'm with Remax Properties. Each and every quarter, it seems like for the last several quarters, I've talked to between 4 and 5 families that are confronted with possibly losing their home, lost a job, having to sell their property. Some of them are bankruptcy clients, and I really don't have a good network of bankruptcy attorneys. I'm an expert contributor on the Hope Matters radio show on WTNP, the news talk leader here in the greater Philadelphia marketplace. And we've decided to dedicate a few shows near the end of February, beginning of March, around debt resolution. And we want to be able to book a couple of legal experts. We went to the PACER website. We saw that you have a fair number of filings, and it seems like your firm specializes in helping people confronted with managing their debt. Am I calling the right law firm? Yes, you are. Great. I'm currently scheduling appointments to be able to interview a few attorneys for next week to see who would be right for us to be able to book for our upcoming shows as expert contributors. We record our shows during the week for rebroadcast on the weekends. Do you have all the business you can handle right now, or are you still looking for additional new clients?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Love to be able to schedule time to stop by your office, get a chance to meet you, check out your facilities, your environment, tell you a little bit about the show, tell you about what we have in the way of ideas of conversation points for the show. And after we meet for 25 to 30 minutes, you can decide if this is right for you or if it's something that you'd like to be able to pass on. When's better for you for us to meet? Earlier in the week or later in the week? So you'll have a much easier time with this than I will. But let's go ahead and call another one.
Okay.
Here we go. Why don't you go ahead and mute? Good morning. My name is Ron Quintero. Can I tell you the purpose of my call? And if I'm calling the wrong firm, we could end it that much sooner?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm the show producer for WTNP, the news talk leader here on radio in Philadelphia. And we are currently interviewing bankruptcy attorneys to be able to book a couple of attorneys as expert contributors for a couple of shows that we have coming up late February, beginning of March regarding debt resolution. And I'd like to be able to speak to the attorney. I represent a real estate broker in the marketplace there that's constantly coming into contact with homeowners needing legal advice as well as using bankruptcy as a resource to be able to keep their home. Am I calling the right firm?
Yes, it sounds like you are. Could you hold on just one moment, please? And your name is Ron Quintero.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the show producer with WTNP?
Yes, ma'am.
In Philadelphia. Okay, could you...
Yes,
yes.
WNTP, I apologize.
Oh, WNTP.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And so you're having a show in late February?
Late February and two more in early March.
Okay. And you're looking to get guest speakers, I guess, a real estate broker? I mean, legal attorneys? With bankruptcy lawyers.
We're looking for legal professionals that specialize in debt resolution.
Okay. Just one moment, please. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for holding on. Could I have your phone number, please, and I'll pass on the message. Mr. Schrader is not available right now, but could I pass on the message to him? So
Actually, let me give you Paul Augustine's direct cell phone number because he would be the person that would come out and pre-interview.
Okay.
Mr. Schrader, Paul's phone number is 215
yes.
565
565
5335.
5335.
And if it's possible, I'd like to be able to get an email address so Paul could go ahead and send some additional information for Mr. Schroeder to be able to review ahead of time to see if this is something he might be interested in. Is that fair?
Well, that is, yes, but I don't have the authority to give out his email address.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sorry. So I'll just pass on this message to him, and then he can call Mr. Augustine back.
That'd be great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Paul, are you there?
I'm here.
Great. So you may want to make a note to yourself. By the way, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
Even though she says I don't have authorization to give out his email address, it's on his website.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I would take a minute and still document that. I would say, you know, this date, this time, I called your office and left a message. I thought I'd send you additional information just to let you know the nature of the call. I'm not trying to sell you ad space. I'm not trying to sell you 30-second spots or anything like that. We are looking to book legal professionals to be able to come on as expert contributors for our shows regarding debt resolution, later part of February, beginning of March. And, you know, when you send me a draft of those, I'll punch them up a little bit to be able to, you know, put some bullets by your coming on air. This will, ... raise your firm's profile, give you added media exposure, additional content to be added to your website as featured on or as heard on, expert contributor for the Salem Broadcast Network, WNTP, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll bulletize it. So, you know, they'll look at the benefits and go like, hell, this is, you know, pretty good benefits here. Yeah, I had to be a part of this.
Right.
So far we're one message left, one appointment set, and one not interested. So, and by the way, I think with the follow-up email behind the message left, I'm about 90% sure that's going to result in an appointment.
Sure.
Okay. So let's go ahead and, are you ready to dial in yet, or do you want me to keep dialing?
I'd say let me hear you do one more here anyway.
All right. Let me do this. By the way, do you see the simplicity of this?
I do.
It's not, you know, it's not brain surgery. It's really simple. And you know, we're not trying to like be tricky or manipulative or, you know, none of that stuff, man. It's like, you know, we're just, how would you pronounce that? Fournier?
Fournier, I think it is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, let me make sure it's the right number here. 1 second. That's the phone number right there. Okay. Is that Levittown or Levittown next close to you?
Levittown is fairly close. It's about probably 20 minutes away, 20-minute commute.
Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and dial this next one. By the way, are you identifying kind of like the rhythm of my rap here?
I am, yeah.
You know, it's just who we are, why we're calling. If they don't get it, we're not going to waste a lot of time trying to explain it to them. I don't have any tricky scripts for trying to convert a person not interested. I just, look, they have to have their act together. They have to be moving forward. Like the second guy that we called, yeah, why not? Hey, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not trying to convert the downtrodden.
So progressive thinkers, those people are really looking to build their practice and,
Yep.
that's the target.
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Jeff Renee's office.
Good morning. My name's Ron Quintero, and we're currently looking for lawyers to be a part of our radio show, not in a financial way, in being able to contribute as an expert contributor for some shows that we're booking on our radio station, which is WNTP, the News Talk leader here in Philadelphia. And we recognize this law firm as a law firm that specializes in bankruptcies. Are we calling the right law firm, or am I barking?
Yeah. Yes, it's Jeff Renee's office.
Okay, great. Can I give you a little bit more information, and you can decide whether or not I should speak to the attorney or not?
Okay, and it would be on the talk show? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. James Hope, who's with Gateway Funding, he's the radio show host Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. And Paul Augustine with Remax Properties, pretty well recognized short sale expert who's constantly coming into homeowners confronted with either losing their home, loss of job, having to sell their home, having to use bankruptcy to be able to keep their home sometimes. They're booking 3 shows near the end of February, beginning of March, and they're pre-interviewing legal professionals to see who would be a good expert contributor to be able to come on air. There's no money involved in this. We're looking for expert contributors to be able to raise the firm's profile, harness the power of the media to be able to leverage to our listeners, to be recognized as the expert contributor, and anybody that's listening to the show would be able to call in and possibly retain the services of your firm.
Okay.
And so we're currently scheduling appointments for just brief 25 to 30-minute interviews where Paul Augustine would come to your office, pre-interview the attorney ahead of time, and kind of share with him some of the insights regarding what would be involved. We record the show during the week for rebroadcast during the weekends, so that way people's weekends are not interrupted with the process. And so we're hoping to be able to book a time to have Paul stop by the office sometime next week and allow the attorney there to be able to know more about what's involved.
Okay. What is your telephone number, Ron, and I can have him call you when he's back from court?
Thank you. Actually, I'm going to give Paul's direct phone number, if that's okay.
Okay. Okay. And is Paul's last name again?
Augustine.
Augustine. Okay.
And his direct phone number is 215
215
565
5.
5335. And if you'd like, it's totally up to you, but if there's an email address that I could have Paul introduce himself via email and give a little bit more additional information, and that way the attorney would be able to evaluate this ahead of time to see if this is something they'd be interested in pursuing or not.
Well, I don't give out the email because he gets bombarded with emails, so I'll give him the phone number and have him touch base with Paul, and then he could give him the email.
That'd be perfect.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question while I have you on the phone here real quick? In the area that you provide services for consumers, do they have specific days of the week that they have debtors hearings?
No, he can be involved any day of the week because there's creditors meetings and there's also with the trustees, plus there's regular hearings on objections and you know
He can be pulled in court in time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that insight because, again, we're on 100 stations around the country in different communities around the entire United States. And in some of the communities, they have, like, debtor hearings where most of the attorneys are in court, as an example, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if we were wasting our time here, we just were looking for if that is applicable, but it doesn't sound like it is.
It would have, yeah. He has certain dates that he doesn't appear. Most of the hearings are in the morning. A few times he gets it like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but most of them are done in the morning.
Great. May I ask your name?
My name's Pat.
Pat, thank you so much for taking the call and providing the additional information.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Paul, are you there?
I am here.
So now we are at 2 messages left. one, I'm not interested in, one appointment set. So be prepared. You're going to get a call back from both these guys. You know, and you may want to jot down their phone numbers, just kind of keep them with you, so that way if you see them appear on your caller ID, you know to grab them, because if they end up leaving you a message and then you end up, you know, trying to get back to them, we could get caught up in this telephone ping pong game and nothing ever get accomplished.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
So let me ask you this. The next call, do you want to do it in private? Do you want me to observe? Do you want, you know, how do you want to do this?
I mean, what do you think the best thing would be? Do you want to kind of listen in on one here and just kind of judge that I'm scripting it properly?
Yeah, that, and I think if we continue to record this, even if, you know, by the way, first of all, I can edit it out if it's just a total meltdown.
Right.
That's not a big deal. But, you know, at the same time, even if it is a meltdown or even if it's a home run, I think it's important that we take the opportunity to capture it via recording, get a chance to reanalyze it, and if it's a meltdown, we know what adjustments to make, and if it's a home run, we know what to replicate.
Right.
So let me go ahead and pull one up here.
Okay.
By the way, I'm just going to, having done this for 17 years, telemarketing attorneys, and actually let me do the math here, 1994. Yes, 18 to 19 years. You will get a call back from both those guys.
Okay.
You know, just out of curiosity and not wanting to miss an opportunity, tell me a little bit more about it. They're going to be almost kind of like the standoffish, like, you know, I noticed you called my office, how can I help you?
Right.
And so you're going to have to go into not like super salesperson mode, but you're going to have to be very relaxed and very matter-of-fact and to the point, you know, and just almost like, you know, very casual, like, you need me more than I need you. And you should bring up your short sell expertise, touch 4 to 5 families every quarter that, you know, you've identified will be potential candidates for a law firm. You know, they need to see the value of your contacts. So let's go ahead and let's pull up one.
Okay.
Have you been taking any notes?
I have been, yeah.
Good.
And mainly just kind of listening to how you sort of lead in on the conversation. So.
You know, and the truth is, I don't have this perfect script, and I'll tell you why. They don't have their lines. The person I'm calling. And I've also found that trying to design a manipulative type of script where you're trying to manipulate and guide the conversation, the person on the other end of the phone can sense that. They can feel it. You get shut down more than you get, you know, accepted, or like, oh, this is a sales call, I'm ending this as fast as I can. So what I try to do is vibe off of the person that's on the other end of the call. I like to state what I'm looking for. Is, so for you, a little dress rehearsal here. Hi, my name is Paul Augustine, RE/MAX Associates. Come into contact with 4 to 5 families every quarter that need legal advice, or, you know, some of them have to file bankruptcy to keep their property. Am I calling the right firm? Does your firm specialize in this area of law? Great. I'm also a part of the James Hope radio show. So if you're taking notes, you may want to write down a little bit of the structure here. I'm also a part of the James Hope radio show. We air Sundays at 11 a.m. And we're booking expert contributors to come on air the last part of February, beginning of March. We're going to dedicate 3 shows towards debt resolution, letting our listeners know the resources that are available by legal professionals to help them keep their home and or confront their debt. I'd like to be able to speak to the attorney about scheduling 25 to 30 minutes for me to be able to stop by their office sometime next week. If I'm going to be referring my clients to a specific law firm, I'd like to be able to see the facilities, the office. I'd like to be able to meet the attorney ahead of time. I think it'd be hypocritical for me to be able to refer my clients to an attorney I've never met. Would you agree with that? When would be a good time for us to be able to schedule a time for me to be able to stop by, introduce myself to a law firm, and at the same time, let them know a little bit about coming onto our show as an expert contributor?
Yeah. I mean, would you say that should be the lead-in? Do you think that really should be sort of the segue to the other conversations, or when I'm calling, should I be, specifically highlighting that's the one purpose, but that also in the background, everything is really that this is a field of expertise for me. We're really looking for attorneys to represent our clients in those cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got the experience, and you've actually had transactions that clients did have to retain legal professionals for assistance. So, we're not BSing anybody here. We're telling the truth. Less is more. Most people don't get this about telephones, and I'm saying this for the training purposes.
Sure.
The telephone is not to sell or convince anybody to do it. The telephone has one purpose: get the appointment with the fewest amount of words possible. If you try to explain it on the phone and they have the opportunity to sit back and try to judge it on the phone, well, I'm not really sure. Tell me more.
Right.
If you just stick with the basics, I come into contact with your client 4 to 5 times per quarter, 15 to 20 times per year. That's just the reality of it. We're scheduling the show last part of February, beginning of March, 3 different shows around debt resolution. Now, I've not used this one yet because I haven't had the opportunity to really get on the phone with an attorney and get into a good discussion. But at that point, I would tie it down with, this one right here, I've used this next line 1,000 times, and I'm just telling you, man, it is a punch in the nose. When I say, do you have all the clients you can handle right now, or are you still looking to grow your practice? Are you seeking additional clients? Now, if they say, oh, hell, I've made all the money I can make this year, I'm really not taking any more clients, I'm trying to figure out how to golf an extra day a week. Have a nice life, goodbye.
Right.
Yeah, by the way, I'm going to see, oh gosh, in the 18 years I've been doing this, I've gotten about maybe 3 or 4 times where I've used that line hundreds of times, but maybe it's such a minuscule percentage where I've had a couple of people say, yeah, I'm not taking on any new clients. Well, good, there's no reason for us to meet.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you very much for saving me the time, aggravation, and hassle of, but thank you for letting me know where you're at in life. Let me find somebody who's leaning into it, somebody who's actually trying to get additional business. So can you read the phone number that's on the screen?
I can see it. It looks like 785, is that? 785-3241?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and mute my phone. Can you do call conferencing?
I don't know. You know what? I hate to say it. I've never done it from this phone before. Let me just see. Yeah, you know what? I think I can here. If I hang up on you, I'll call back in.
And by the way, let me just tell you this about my phone. That's kind of weird. I have a Droid. On my Droid, whenever I click on Add a Call, what it says on my screen, it says Merge Calls.
Right.
If I click on that before they pick up their phone, it'll drop the phone.
Will it really?
So it's just when I hear the click of somebody picking up the phone, and just when they're saying law office is up, click, I hit the Add Call button or Merge Call button. So you may want to wait until they pick up the phone.
Yeah, let me see. Now I'm actually on a ground. I'm on my desk phone here, and so I have to see. It looks like there's a conference function. I'm just trying to figure out, do I hit that and then dial the other number is the question. Let me give this a shot here.
Okay, I'm going to mute my phone, but I can unmute it anytime.
Okay.
Hey, Ron.
I'm here, man.
You there?
I'm here.
All right. Judging by that address, in this case, I don't know that he even necessarily has a has a base office. He might be using a home address as a mailing address, which is maybe why he suggested, coming up this way.
Okay, let's go for another one then. Hold on. That's the same one? Yeah.
That's the same guy, yep. Mm-hmm.
David Bennett. How about that one right there?
Let's see, what's that there? That's David Bennett.
Give me 1 second here. Let me just look.
Yep.
Looks like him. Hold on 1 second. Let me see the website real fast.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent here.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Now, your thoughts on the way I kind of scripted that? Like, what would you have to say about it, good and bad?
Say that again?
I said, what were your thoughts on how it was scripted? Did you think there were any other details I really should have touched on?
No, I think we're ready to rock. Well, I didn't. Did you call?
What's that?
Did you call someone?
Yeah, you weren't in on that?
No, we didn't get patched in. We didn't capture it.
Oh, no. I thought I had you conferenced in on that, so I'm having an issue here then. Yeah, I booked him for Thursday morning. And,
oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought you were conferenced in on it, and then when I hung up, I just dropped, I dropped you and him at the same time. Yeah. I thought I had.
So you made a call and you locked an appointment?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and it was like, see, I thought I had you conferenced in. I don't really use the function on my phone very often, so when I had call and it rang in, I assumed you were there, kind of conferenced in on that.
You East Coast guys, man. So tell me about that call, man. How did it go?
Well, like I said, the attorney himself had actually picked up the phone, and so I don't know if he had a call forwarded to his cell or what the story was, but he picked up, and I said, hey, my name is Paul Augustine. I'm calling from RE/MAX Center, and I said, up here in Bucks County, I said, I do some work here with clients, who are in distress, and I said about 4 to 5 families a month or a quarter reach out to me who are in some form of distress and short, I end up having to short sell the property, and in often cases have to retain legal counsel. So the main reason I'm calling today is because I also am an expert contributor to James Hope's radio show, Hope Matters Radio on News Talk 990 WNTP, and it airs Sunday mornings. And we're starting to book shows for our late February to mid-March shows, and I said, we do pre-record during the week, so it's not like you have to be in studio on Sunday mornings. We like to be, aware of people's weekends and their time, and so we're just starting an interview around to try to find some attorneys to join us on the show and contribute some content. And said, we find that in many cases it leads to future business just through calls on the show. And I said, there's no financial contribution initially. We're just looking to try to find an attorney who would be a good contributor and a good fit for the show. And I said, yeah, I'd definitely be interested in talking to you about it. So, so then I went on and said, okay. I said, so I said, it sounds like you're in a position where you're looking to take on new business. He says, yeah, definitely. He goes, that's what I do. He goes, I do a lot of bankruptcy work. I said, yeah. From what I could tell, I said, I'd researched the PACER system. It looks like you had a fair amount of filings, at least recently. And he said, yeah, definitely doing, quite a good amount of that. And so went on to book the appointment. He said, well, where are you located? I said, well, we're right up on York Road in Jamison. And so he, I said, if you'd like, I can run down your way. I said, what's your schedule shaping up like next week? And he said, later in the week's probably better than earlier. And so we kind of were back and forth on that a bit. And I said, do you want me to come down to your office? He goes, well, I actually live right in Newtown, which is pretty close to here. He goes, I can come to your office. I said, that's fine, too. So I think looking at the address of his firm, it may or may not be, just knowing the Bristol area, it may or may not be an actual, office-type setting. So I wonder if he meets clients remotely. That's kind of the question mark on that. But book that for Thursday at noon. So.
Well, I want to congratulate you, number one, on being a great listener. Number two, being a good student. It's nice when the first one out of the blocks, you nail it.
Yeah.
So you're on your way, and it's kind of like summarizing. If you end up blocking out just one day, not even one day, if you just end up blocking out 3 hours one day in all 3 hours back to back, contiguous. Just 1 day a week, block out 3 hours. You call 15 attorneys during that 3 hours. You will end up with somewhere between 5 to 8 attorney appointments per week. This is phase one. Now, people we called earlier, two, I guarantee you this, they're both going to call back because they're looking for more additional bankruptcy work, and they don't understand necessarily the nature of your call, so they're going to want more information. They're curious.
Right.
So you start to compound, and you do this 3 or 4 weeks in a row, you're going to be eyeballs deep in attorney relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you meet the right person, there's an essence match, and you go, I think you would be great to have as a guest. I really like to banter back and forth. I like what you have to say. I think our listeners would really gravitate towards what you had to contribute. Mm-hmm. If it all works out, there's an ongoing regular role for you on the show. But right now, let's just worry about step one, which is the guest appearance. Let's just see if it's right. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're on your way, man. I'm going to go ahead and capture this. I'm going to edit out some of the dead air with us trying to patch each other in. God damn, I wish I would have been able to capture that call. Doggone it. I want to.
You know what? I thought when I kind of added the call that you were still there conferenced in. That's totally my fault. Like I said, it's just a function I don't use really at all, either on my cell phone or on the ground line. So kind of my fault. It's not making for good recording anyway here. So.
Well, you're on your way, man. I think you got it. Particularly if you. By the way, what you just reiterated back to me, what the structure of the call went like. Perfect note taking, man. You sound like you were relaxed. Sound like you were comfortable. You're just speaking to the facts, the truth. You weren't trying to hoodwink anybody. Wasn't trying to manipulate anybody. Was tricky closes, thing like that.
Yeah, I guess it's like any script. You kind of have to take what's laid out there for you and sort of internalize it, and then just turn around and make it your own. Like convey it, deliver it in a way that's sort of your own natural style. So that's what I try to do with it.
Yeah, like James and I were talking about you and another one of his realtor relationships where, your personality is more, touchy-feely, like all that. You try to build a personal connection and bond. You're not trying to manipulate anybody. And there's, another relationship that James is working with on the other side of town, and I spoke to that person, and he's the absolute polar opposite of you. He likes to try to people with his intelligence, and that he does. And the guy's a really sharp, smart guy. But the personality and the laid-back nature, you kind of like lay back and let people come to you. That's your style.
I make it I make it look that way, but I'm really after it. You know what I mean? Like I come off like I'm laid off, laid back. Don't worry about it. Like it'll just kind of come my way, but I'm actually after it and just sort of make people feel comfortable that don't worry, I'm here at your pace. But I do to kind of lead on without pressure tactics, if that makes sense. I found, it's just in my day-to-day dealings, if I had to sum it up, that that really just putting information in front of people usually will compel them to make their own decisions. So that's kind of my approach to information, and be as straightforward as possible. And just in my general, like I said, just in my general day-to-day dealings, that tends to work out. So I think that my strategy, it's probably just going to be to try to employ the same general tactic with with marketing here. So.
Well, I think what you just said is imperative. That for the purpose of this recording, and me being able to turn this into a tutorial, that people need to identify what you just said, which is you've got to be yourself. You cannot take some manipulative, scripted stuff that are not your words, that coming out of your mouth is going to be clumsy, it's going to be uncomfortable. You've got to really kind of take this and make it your own style and let it fit your personality of who you are, and just let it flow.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're on your way, man. This was I think it was a pretty good experience. What do you think?
I thought it was. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, yeah. It was good to hear you kind of run through it a few times, and like I said, as as we were doing that, I just sort of kind of internalized and thought, okay, I'm not going to turn around and make it my own. And it makes sense. You're throwing something out there to them that really is kind of a unique proposition, and you do kind of have to break down those barriers. So think about this. I know that in my industry, like the end of very late fourth quarter, very early first quarter, you get a lot of sales calls. You get a lot of calls of people trying to sell you things. So we're kind of combating that a little bit as well. So I think they're just kind of indicating, look, this isn't really anything. We're not trying to sell you an ad spot. We're really actually looking for a contributor to add content to our show. Sort of breaks down that barrier. So
yeah, you don't even know if you want him to be on your show. So why, I've never even met you. Why would I want to sell you something? I might not even like you.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got to take that approach. So you're on your way. I'm going to go ahead and edit this call, and then I'm going to send James a copy as well. And then I don't mean to sound condescending in any way, but you never really telemarketed attorneys before, have you?
No, I never have. No.
You're going to nail this, man. This is going to be so good for you. You are absolutely going to nail this because you have a very relaxed style. So let's just kind of do as we wind this up here, a recap. You're going to go on these appointments. You're going to send some follow-up emails to the people that we did not connect with. Go to their website. They're generally there, the email addresses. You're going to follow up with a couple of people we left messages with. The steps when you go on these appointments, I'm going to send you a link that will be, questions to ask during the interview for you to be able to talk a little bit about the James Hope Show. If you're feeling it, if it's a good meeting, make the commitment. Say, you know what, I don't even need to think about this. I have full authority from James Hope to be able to book people. In fact, I feel it's right, and I feel this is right. However, I would like to be able to have just a coffee meeting for me to be able to introduce to you the show host, James. You, me, and James get together either next week or the week after, whatever's better for you, just for us to have a little bit of a 30, 45-minute sit-down, get to know each other, have the discussion ahead of time, and that way when we go into the studio, we're more readily prepared to execute a really great show. Does that make sense to you? My 6 most powerful words in selling: make a strong statement and then wrap it up with the close. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
And if it doesn't, no, it doesn't. Well, let me explain it from a different point of view. It gives you an opportunity to jump back in there and explain it from a different point of view. But if they go, yeah, it does make sense, that's basically saying, I agree, let's continue with this process. So rock and roll, buddy. You're on your way, man. And, as you start to have these people come into, once they come into the studio, you guys actually do the show together, the next steps after that is for you to be able to say, I'd like to be able to schedule a conference call between you, me, and Ron Quintero, the CEO of the Real Estate Radio Network. And I'd like for you to hear about what some of these guys out of Southern California are doing in terms of being able to get real estate companies to retain law firms throughout the short sale process, and also for foreclosure avoidance. At this point, it's a lay down. If you guys have met with him one time in his office, got along, you had coffee with James Hope, got along, went to the studio, took a bunch of pictures, we get them out a press release, we get them out the guest announcement card, we send them the videos, getting them prepared to come on air. You actually go do the show, you send them a copy of the show, you drop off at their law office a framed set of photographs of them in the studio on the microphone. Dude, it's a lay down.
Yeah.
Absolute lay down. And then, it's just good old-fashioned relationship management. Put them on a ticker system, touch base once a week, maybe, and then once a week's probably too much, but I would do at least every 2 weeks, maybe, every 3 weeks, whatever the comfortable loop is. And then when you see their name, tomorrow morning we're going to be doing the preview of the software. It's being installed on the new computer right now, the software that basically scrapes the PACER system. So then when you see this attorney that after they come on air, a week or two later files 2 or 3 bankruptcies in a single week, you're going to send them an email. Hey, Tom, This is Paul again. Congratulations on your, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what's on the news right now.
What's that?
Chip Kelly from the Oregon Ducks to be named Eagles head coach.
What?
Dude,
Really?
congratulations.
Huh.
Chip
Nice.
Kelly is the prize.
That's awesome.
You kidding me? Congratulations, man. For Philly, that's great. That's great.
I think they interviewed him about a week ago. I thought he kind of turned that down. And he talked to the Eagles and he talked to somebody else. I forget who the other team was, and I thought he was kind of just deciding to stick with college. That's pretty exciting. Huh.
Chris Mortensen is on ESPN in the background right now. It says Chip Kelly headed to Philly. Sources:
Nice.
Chip Kelly to be named Eagles head coach.
Oh, cool.
God,
Awesome.
man, I wonders what he got him. Anyways, back to this. When you see that when you see those 3 new filings, hey Tom, congratulations on the 3 filings this past week. I see that the Morales family, the Garcia family, and the Sanchez, oh, I'm speaking like I'm in Southern California, so the Sanchez family have retained you. If, in fact, you need any additional information for the preparation of the bankruptcy in the way of property values and so forth, I'll be more than happy to provide a complimentary CMA. And also, you know, if bankruptcy is not going to be able to take care of the real estate related matters, attached is a letter of introduction that I would appreciate you sending off to them. If in fact I'm successful in helping them with their real estate needs, I'll be more than happy to go ahead and have you send me a retainer agreement so I can retain your law firm to help me on the legal side of this real estate related matter.
Sure.
And I'm telling you right now, man, it's just good. Glenn Henderson's closing he's closing another one in the next 3 weeks here from what we went on the appointments prior to Christmas.
Wow.
You know, and you start, see, this process is kind of drawn out. It's like a 3 to 4 month process. But let me tell you something. When you walk into that law firm and you drop off a $2,200 retainer check from the closed transaction,
yeah,
all of a sudden they're like, how do we do more of this?
Right.
Then you're in.
Nice.
All right,
Well,
man. Well, congratulations.
Pumping out these calls, and I'll let you know how it goes and sort of do all the follow-up emails and so on and so forth. So.
You got it, man.
All right, sounds good.
Very productive meeting. By the way,
Right,
while you're still hot, if you have the time, you call at least 4 or 5 more just while it's all really fresh.
Okay.
All right, man.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.